Hello and welcome back to another episode of More Than a Business Live. My name is Mitch Case. I'm going to be your host today. I am also the co-founder at More Than a Meal Company, where we help you strengthen your relationships with employees and clients by showing gratitude, appreciation, and empathy one meal at a time. We come to you every single Thursday with each and every episode with the goal to introduce you to amazing leaders around the nation that are operating their organizations in a way that truly puts their people first, where we believe that business can actually be more than just a business. So I'm really, really excited to invite our next guest on the show here. But before I go ahead and do that, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, True Captive. They believe in healthcare that is personal and insurance that is not complicated. So if you do want to learn more about what they're doing, just go on over to truecaptive.com and they'll be able to help you out. You can also reach out to me. I'd be happy to get you introduced. Our guest today is Chris Metzler. He is the president at Progressive Electronics. Anytime I get to talk with somebody in the construction space, getting to do really, really cool things, because we're going to be talking about some cool video, audio type things that maybe or maybe not be coming up. Actually, Chris, I don't even know if I'm able to talk about that yet. So I'm going to pretend that didn't just happen. But with that, I do want to give out a shout out to how Chris and I met. A good friend of ours, Mark Basola, is just somebody out in the community here in Kansas City that's out there connecting good people with good people. And now I feel less of a person because I just called myself a good person. But with that, I'm going to bring Chris onto the show. Chris, man, hey, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I don't know what I signed up for, but
like I told you, we're going to be going and rolling, and we'll roll with the punches on here. So real quick, why don't you just kind of give us a high level who you are, what this company, Progressive Electronics, is all about, and maybe just a little bit about what your day-to-day looks like.
Yeah, my name's Chris Metzler. I'm president of Progressive Electronics Incorporated. We're a local low voltage contractor. My dad, Craig Metzler, started this business with a partner back in 1978. I've been in the business most of my life, but full time since 2005. Officially took over as president about a year ago. And so been running the place for different levels, from project management to operations to, sales, to every little bit of the piece as a small business owner. So it's been fun as a second generation entrepreneur.
Yeah, I definitely want to dive into the second generation side of things, because you can take that several different directions. But what we always like to do on this side when we get going on this show is just really to kind of talk about a positive impact. So something you personally have done, or maybe Progressive Electronics has done, to have a direct positive impact on a team member of yours, either past or current.
Yeah, we don't do a whole lot of community impact. I'd say our greatest impact is kind of how we hire and train employees. My operations manager on my fire alarm side of the business right now started here when he was 19. He is now 36. Probably won't like me telling everyone that, but started, pretty much straight out of high school, and he grew up in the business and just continue to take on roles and, anything we could throw at him, and, further training and taking on responsibilities. And, eventually took over one of our largest healthcare campuses in Kansas City. And, it was just, it was great to see from an owner or, vice president standpoint at that time, that someone we found that had some aptitude that we could bring up, and seeing him raise his family now and kind of see his kids grow up. Now he has got 5 kids total.
All right. Okay.
So, and seeing that impact that he's able to support such a family, and, he's got time outside of work, but he's also very successful here. And to me, that's where we impact the community the most, is where we train and kind of really support our employees, because that's who we are at the end of the day, is our employees. So it's nothing I do. It's, I can sit here and talk all day, but it's what they do outside of these 4 walls in my office that really impacts everyone. So
Yeah, and I've talked to a lot of different like small business owners, and you even kind of talked about how you kind of went through the ranks and learned different skill sets and everything. And as a small business owner and startup, like, you wear so many of those hats. But what I have heard repeatedly over and over is when you're able to maybe hand some of those hats off to other people and watch them thrive. And quite honestly, like, we probably admit, like, they do it 10 times better than we even do.
oh yeah, 100%.
That is so fulfilling, and seeing them thrive in that place where not only can they feel good about the work that they do, but now they have, a family they can support off of the gifts that they've been given. So, I mean, just right in line with exactly what we talk about on the More Than a Business side of things. Also, I've also heard that 36 is the new 19, so we should be
Good.
okay on that end. That's at
Yeah,
least what I'm going to be
I'm
preaching over the next
slightly
year.
older than that, so yeah.
I love that. Well, hey, I forgot to mention before we jumped into that story. If anybody is tuning in, why don't you go ahead and shoot a comment out there for let us know where you're tuning in from, your city, platform you're looking at. We can see people that are on, but we have no idea who you are. So give us a shout out. And then if you do hear or have any questions for Chris or myself throughout this, shoot them over there. And if we have some time, we'll definitely get to those. Chris, the next portion of the show is really talking about the more than a business aspect. So what are some of the things, like how can you operate a company that's truly more about anything just than the profit itself? No, I always want to preface the fact like profit's not a bad word. It's the only way businesses can survive, but there can be much more than that. And you have a unique perspective of coming from a second generation owner. I would love just kind of hear from your perspective, maybe how that transition went into where you're at today, and then what you're wanting to actually accomplish with that business as you continue to grow this company to be truly more than a business.
Yeah, it's a very interesting road. I mean, as second generation, especially working with your father every day, it's, you know, as you go to business school and you learn these things, and then you come into a business and you're focused on bottom lines and different things within the business, but then you also see how a current business is operating, and you know, um, what's in the textbook's not always what happens in the real world. And seeing
Wait,
that example, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you know, seeing that my dad's office and then eventually my office became kind of the sounding board for people, and it was more than, hey, get your job done, it's got to be X profit or you're out of here type of thing. And really supporting people in both personal and professional life. I got to learn that firsthand. You know, Unfortunately, my dad passed away last year. And so I've thought about this a lot recently over the last year, and, you know, talking with family members and other people that, it was always like, hey, what was dad like, or what was your dad like at work? And, I was like, he coached many people. He helped out with all of our sports. And to people that never saw him in the business, he was the same person kind of inside the business and outside of the business. So it was
mm,
really cool to kind of take that and bring it into more of a business aspect as now the owner, to say, okay, I've got to look at people more than just the bottom lines and profits, and how do I support a person outside and personally so that they can grow within the business and, be successful in other areas than just what are the sales, what are you getting done today. So that to me is probably the biggest lesson I learned, is you can't focus on just the hard numbers at all time. I was guilty of that early in my career.
yeah. Yeah, same. Very much the same. I was actually just having a conversation with a good friend of mine this morning. We were grabbing coffee, and it was around a lot of those same things. Like, how do you be a business owner and a father from my perspective, or and a husband, and you're the same person here as you are there? Because
Yes.
sometimes you have to wear a different hat, but that doesn't mean you have to be a different person. And it's a gray area that's hard to balance, and getting out of whack one way or the other can cause a lot of issues. And I know like the words of like this work-life balance, like I get that conversation of it, but they're so intertwined with each other that I just don't know that there's ever like a true balance. It just is. And trying to maintain that is important. And I just appreciate you from a business owner perspective that you come in and recognize these individuals as spouses, parents, leaders first, not just what have you done for the business today,
Hmm.
because that's the quickest way out the door, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, it's
Um,
a very fine line to try to ride along. You can go one way or the other very quickly, and depending on the day. And sometimes you have to check yourself, or hopefully you have good people within your organization that can check you, be like, hey, you're going too far this way with this person, or you've switched over way too far this way. And so it's always a work in progress, I would say. And that's the same for, I'm a parent as well. I've got a 7 and 5 year old at home, and I'm coaching a lot, and it's a fine balance everywhere.
my wife and I are celebrating our ninth anniversary today, and like we were talking about how far we've come from young and dumb to like exhausted and learning patience and all these different things. And one of the areas that we had talked about was just the amount of humbleness that we need as parents, which can carry over into that business side of things. Is like I'm learning a lot of firsts with my oldest son, and I am messing up, and sometimes it is sloppy, and I have to turn around and apologize to him for that. And so having that mentality in the business side of things is like, I'm truly learning a lot of these things. Like this is, I know like I have this title, which is cool and fine and all that kind of stuff, but there are so many things that I don't know how to do, and trying to make sure that those team members recognize that and still see you as a leader is a fine
Yeah.
balance. I was going to ask you, I'm kind of losing my train of thought with where I was going to head with this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Is more along the lines of, there's one thing to like talk about, hey, we support you as a human being first, a parent, a spouse first, versus the actions behind that. And so I didn't prep you for this question by any means, but like, has there been anything in like, specific that you can talk about that maybe like the action behind some of that, just to kind of help some of our listeners that are maybe into a leadership position or maybe own their company? What are some ways that they can really like utilize that idea of, I want to care for this individual as a human being first, they just happen to be a part of my team?
Yeah, a lot of it, I mean, we're fortunate that we're providing insurance in a special way to people. Number one, it covers any of their dependents, their family, everything. So that was kind of first and foremost. That's not
Sure.
withdrawal from their paycheck. That's something we provide as an additional bonus. So
Oh
that's the number
wow,
one thing to
you pay
me.
for all of that?
Yeah, yeah,
Dude.
which probably isn't great from a bottom line, but
I was
uh,
gonna say, as a business owner, I understand how much
yeah.
you're putting out on the back end.
So that's number one, that everyone feels as though they have everyone in their family taken care of. If there's a doctor's emergency, it's not going to, really, hit them that they're financially, you know,
Sure.
really taken aback by that. And other things, it's all the little things of, hey, my kid's got an appointment, or I've got to get up early for soccer, or I've got, this appointment to take my mom who's sick to, whatever it may be. It's, every case is unique, and you just have to, it's learning who the person is and what kind of motivates them and how to work around those, because
Yeah.
I'm not a person that's, you got to work 40 hours, you got to be in your seat 8 to 4:30, 9 to 5, whatever that case is. We've all been around long enough that when someone's getting their work done. So how do you support them to get their work done? And it may not be a 40-hour week when it, comes down to Friday evening. But
Sure.
do they get all the work done, and are they still happy? Were they able to support both their personal and professional life? Um, we've got right now a couple people that have been sick. They've got some surgeries coming up, so we've done some things with them. You know, we're more of a work from office place as a construction company. There's a lot of collaboration going on, but we've also made exceptions for people, and not looking at it as a blanket. We're not a corporate company, so we don't have to have those blanket statements of everyone has to
Yeah.
be X, Y, and Z, and here are the hybrid hours, and we can play that by ear with every person here. So
Yeah.
that's what I try to do. It
You don't
probably causes
implement
me
like
more headaches than anything else, but
my favorite with a previous one of my first companies I was a part of was summer months. Every other Friday, you could wear jeans, and it was just like, we're free now, baby.
yeah. As a kid that grew
Yeah.
up in Catholic schools, that was very important to us.
Okay. Well, fair. All
Yeah.
right. That's a fair statement there.
I don't know if it's
Um,
much motivation in the corporate world though.
I can't tell you that I was the most it didn't bring a lot of motivation for me. I will just say that. But before we jump into the next section, I want to give a shout out. John is tuning in. Sounds like you and John know each other.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, John. Appreciate you coming in. Also got Cameron tuning in too. So appreciate you guys tuning in. And if you have any questions, feel free to give us a shout. Um, Chris, kind of in the back half of the show here, we really kind of talk about you as the owner, as even a second generation owner. We recognize that not every single day is sunshine and rainbows, and maybe you've only got 20% of yourself to give that day. But I always want to understand, like, what is that unique component to the individual? Like, what keeps you showing up to serve the people that you're blessed to serve on a daily basis when maybe you just don't have enough uh, inside yourself for those specific days?
There's a lot of motivation behind that, and I have to give a shout out to Mark Basola and Scott Havens. Mark introduced me to Scott, and Scott's got me in a couple peer groups, and that's been super helpful for me, because as a business owner, especially small business owner, you feel like you're alone, and you're going through all these different things that come day to day. As a sole person, and all that weight's on your shoulders. And then you start meeting really good people like Scott and Mark, and they introduce you to people that are going through the same things, and you lean
Hmm.
on each other for support. Uh, to me, with that support, and also, you know, kind of seeing the passion my dad and previous owner had for the company, and then still seeing people that have been here for 41 years have for the company.
Wow.
That's really my motivation. At the end of the day, is I'm here for them. It's not my company; it's their company. And what can I do to make it better for them every day? Make their jobs easier. That's literally my motivation. I take on more than I probably should every day. But if I'm reducing the workload and making life easier on everyone else, that's my goal. So,
That is, yeah, yeah. I think most business owners, people in your position, we struggle to hand those things off when can maybe we feel like we're putting a burden on somebody, but I can resonate with that. And I think also Scott just literally knows everybody. So apparently
yeah,
Cameron even with him. So no surprise there, Scott.
yeah.
Shout out to you, buddy. There's a lot of individuals that he has had a huge impact, and I'm raising my hand with that as well. So grateful for individuals like him that you can lean on to find the other individuals that know exactly what you're going through and can have those conversations. So I appreciate the transparency on that. We've got a little extra time here, and I kind of want to dive in just to a little bit more about your business, Chris. It's very unique in the sense that people probably don't really recognize it, but they see the screens making cool videos and all this kind of stuff, and they just think somebody just grabs a what is it, 112, 110 plug and just
Yeah.
plug it right in, and all the things happen. So let's dive in a little bit more specifically about the business Progressive Electronics and what you guys do. If you want to share more about some things that you guys specifically have done. I would love for each of these individuals that tune in now and later just to know a little bit more. And if it's something that resonates with them, maybe they want to see what it's like to have their insurance paid for.
hmm yeah. So we have really three verticals in our business. One of them is fire alarm. The other one is audiovisual work, and then we have a service that supports all that. We'll do some other systems, but that's only about 10% of our business under the access control and security. But the fire alarm business is really boring. It's code driven. It's all commercial market. We don't do anything in the residential market. But that can be from, I walk in every building, I look at what the fire alarm system is. Hopefully, maybe someone will notice what that is now, but it's required in 90% of commercial buildings.
Yeah.
We're very strong in the healthcare market. We have some really good clients there that we have systems in. We have, technicians on site year round. And so that one's kind of a really boring market. It's just, it's a code driven market that, requires drawings, requires, notification devices, detection, control panels. Technicians that are really trained on the system know what they're doing, how to test it, and how to work with the fire departments to get those passed. And no one really cares about that system unless you're a general contractor trying to move into the building. And then we're the most important job person on the job site.
I would also add that you're probably really important to individuals once there actually is a fire in that building,
Yes.
to
Yes.
let them know to get the heck out.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we go from, a small restaurant to a major healthcare campus. We just finished off the fire alarm system at the new current stadium, which is
Hmm.
really cool to have under our belt.
Dude, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then it leads into our AV side of the business, which is your audiovisual. We were not lucky enough to get the audiovisual system at the current stadium, but we have done all the renovations at Arrowhead, Kauffman Stadium. My dad was at Kauffman Stadium since he started the business in '78. He worked personally the '80 and '85 World Series. We did those renovations in '08. We did Sporting Kansas City Stadium in 2010 or 11, whenever that was built.
Wow.
Um, so we've done those really big projects, but a lot of the work, those don't come around often. So a lot of work is in
Fair.
the corporate world, your house of worship. We've done a lot of really cool churches in town that, have a video wall, or they have a 120-foot video wall with full
Jeez.
broadcasts. So that's the cool side of business that everyone really likes to talk about. That's usually what we're kind of known for, because electrical contractors know us for the fire alarm world, that they just pick up the phone and call us because they know we can do that. And then we just service all that. But it all comes down to, we're pretty protected company against AI right now, because you can't hire AI to pull your cable or install devices. So um,
That is one thing
We're
that
trying to
AI
utilize
cannot
AI
do.
where we can for technology within our office, but
Sure.
end of the day, we've got 50 some odd, I think 56 union employees right now.
Wow.
Uh, so they're running around from testing and certification side of work, that just going into buildings and testing the fire alarms, making sure they're working on a yearly basis, to installing new systems, working with general contractors and electrical contractors to, finishing off new systems around Kansas City. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty cool market to be in. I can drive around town and tell you pretty much every building that's being built, what it is, what it's going to look like. It's fun. My
Uh,
kids really enjoy it.
that brings back so many like memories from my days of selling. Like my wife always hated, 'cause I was always looking at the roof of commercial buildings or anything along those lines. And anytime you're driving and take your eyes off the road, it's never a greeted area. We have a question from John real quick, so I'll pull that up. So he's saying, looking back, what would you have done different in your career, and what advice would you have for a young future leader beginning their professional career?
Uh, Future, I would say probably what I would have done different. This is probably, I did a lot of things wrong. I'd say number one is trying to use your title for authority. I
Hmm.
came in and I was 28 when I got a VP title that I bought into the company. And people will not follow you just because you have a title. You have to prove that you have the leadership and the skills to do it. Um, and for a young professional, especially within a small business, learn everything it is about the business. Ask all the questions, whether it's your role or not. You know, go do something that's completely outside of your realm. If you're working in sales, go figure out what the operations team's doing, why they do it. Understand those finite roles down the path. You know, why is the warehouse shipping equipment out this time? Why does this technician do it this thing? How's this getting dispatched? How does the billing work? How we, every aspect of the company, learning it through and through, so that whatever position you may go to, you can support and help that position better down the line.
That is wonderful advice. I mean, it just sitting there thinking of all the things that I have done, like knowing each integral piece, especially on the sales side. Like if you know what's going to best make operations better, what's going to make accounting better, what you can and cannot do, and when you do something, what impact does it have down the road? Um, that just allows you to build that camaraderie, that care, that they know that even though you're out here selling and maybe not seeing them all that often, you are truly caring from the on the back end. And essentially what I kind of heard was like, just don't stop learning. Like keep learning
Yeah.
about the other things within the organization, because you're one piece of an entire wheel to make that thing spin. And yeah, that's great. John, thank you so much for that question, man. Really appreciate that. Chris, we kind of made it to the end here. If anybody wants to reach out, learn more about Progressive Electronic, hear more about your story, like what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
I mean, they can reach out to me. I'm always on LinkedIn.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
usually the best
Um,
way. My email box is usually full, so
yeah.
I lose internal conversations within that. So LinkedIn's probably the best for something new.
I resonate with that a lot. Uh, yeah, and if you can't find Chris, just shoot me a message. I'd be happy to get you guys connected as well. So, Chris, one of the things that my wife and I love to do is make sure that we allow you to send a gift, just to show our own gratitude and appreciation for you coming on the show, but sending a gift to a team member of yours. So, if you have somebody in mind, who might that be, and why would you like to gift this meal to them?
Yeah, we have one of our accounting personnel. She's been out, I think, since January. My timelines get confused day to day, but she's been dealing with some cancer coming back.
Hmm.
So she's been working from home since then, and her son actually works for us as well, and he's been very good about getting her to her appointments and everything. But I would really like to donate a meal for her and take care of her, and try to use some of what she's going through day to day. So
Sure, sure. Well, I look forward to being able to help in a small way in that space. So we'll get connected offline here, and we'll make sure to get the info we need to be able to send that out. Chris, do you have any last words for any of our guests tuning in now or even down the road, man?
no, I don't know. Sign up for this. It was fun. Didn't know what I was getting into, but it was a good time. I appreciate it, Mitch.
Yeah, yeah. We always blow past the time, but that's a really good point, Chris. I'm just going to kind of take this moment to, if you are in the business community and a leader. And, you know, you operate an organization that's truly more than a business, just like Chris and his team. Like, we want to give you this platform to be able to talk about the things that you do and how you do those, so that the rest of us can continue to learn as we either grow within an organization or grow as a leader at the organization. So Chris, really appreciate you tuning in, man. We will be back next Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Time. Our guest next week is going to be Caleb Avery with Tild. We're going to talk about some fintech type stuff, which is definitely a space that I know nothing about. So come on in. We'll be talking with Caleb. Looking forward to doing that. But until next time, I just encourage you guys to continue to strengthen those relationships with those that value you, those that you value the most, because that is what will give you the best returns in the work that you do. So Chris, again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys
Thank you.
next week. Take care.